Hello everyone, it is the build-up show. Liverpool, Aston Villa, Villa Park, Tuesday, 8 o'clock kickoff. I'm Paul Machin. Emma Sanders and Dan Clubb join me for this one. Massive shout out to Dan, who's just survived the 60-minute final word before coming in here as well. Was it a cathartic experience?
That's what I was hoping for. I said at the start of the show I hope it was cathartic, but it's just made me relive it all and become more and more frustrated. We did finish by talking about Pep's antics, though, so I feel a little bit better about myself now. No, I think there's definitely a bit of that. I want to do a big gold chunk on the podcast tomorrow because I just love the idea that Pep Guardiola lives in such a fishbowl of a world that he's got no concept that, like, people just are very, very... It's not that people don't like Man City, they're just very indifferent towards Man City as much as anything else. Anyway, less on him, more on us, and a bit more on Aston Villa as well. And look, best place to start on this. Just no, Stevie, not now.
Yeah.
Not like this. Not today. Just... If they could just roll over. I mean, I don't expect him to roll over. I expect him to come and give us a game like they did in December. But I'm not here. I couldn't handle a world where Steven Gerrard buried our title chances.
I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, where I think they lost 3 games in a row and then basically got that draw with Leicester and then they've won their last 2. So I feel like they've been on a nice little run now, so they can afford to lose this one, so it's fine.
Yes.
So just give it to Liverpool and then turn up for the last day against Man City. That would be the ideal scenario.
It's a tough one to kind of to balance out, Dan, because we're all here going, oh, Villa, City, last game of the season, oh, Gerrard, oh, Coutinho. And we've completely overlooked the fact that we've got to play them before we get to that point. And in any normal circumstance, I'd be going, well, they've got to be on the beach at this point. They're 11th in the Premier League. They're too good. They were far too good to go down, but they're nowhere near good enough to be fighting for European places. Their season is effectively done. But I need that to also not be true because somehow they've got to have something to fight for come the last game of the season.
Yeah, but it's that weird stage of the season. We seem to get there most seasons these days with us and Man City, whereby you're looking at other teams' form as well as our own and City's and thinking, oh, they might be able to give them a game, you know. Yeah. And it's the case with Wolves, obviously, as well, because we've still got Wolves to play and so have they. But yeah, it was interesting because obviously Villa's form has been very indifferent, and you think obviously from our perspective, happy days, we'll play and we'll take them on. But they were good at our place at Anfield, I thought, with Gerrard. I thought he organised them pretty well, actually, to be fair. But yeah, I think we need them just to not roll over, but just let us off and then get revitalised and get angry for the last day of the season. But also the same could be said for Wolves, because obviously we've seen them come back, and I thought they were done and dusted for this season. Yeah. And then they come back at the weekend and you start thinking, maybe they've got half a sniff against City as well. So it's
the path to madness, we call this. I'm trying to think about how Man City might somehow drop points. But I think the thing that's worth discussing on this is that Gerrard won't roll over.
No.
He absolutely won't, because it's not in his character. He's a born winner, and he want this to be a tough game, because he's got, I mean, look, at the back of his mind, there's no escaping the whole thing that he wants to prove himself capable of being a Liverpool manager, and you don't do that by getting battered by Liverpool. And to Dan's point, and we touched upon it, they gave us Martinez is brilliant at Anfield. We should beat them more convincingly, but we do only beat them 1-0 with a Salah pen. That's the kind of thing I'm kind of expecting a little bit more of here. We are going to be leggy, we are going to be tired, and they're going to give us a very stern resistance here. And it's on Liverpool to treat this as as like we're playing a top team, because it's going to be a difficult one for us.
Yeah, and I think the game at Anfield was slightly different because it felt more like an occasion, because it was Stevie G coming back, whereas this is very much, it's just another run-of-the-mill game. No disrespect to Villa.
I think that's a really interesting point. Yeah.
And I think, we're talking about things that they have to fight for in terms of Villa. I don't think it's much, but they can still finish in the top 10, and I think that's a big thing for Stevie G, especially in his first season, to say that's kind of a bit of a milestone, finish top half of the Premier League. So I don't think it'll be an easy game by all means, but in a way, sort of Villa almost having to play at home in front of their home fans, and with that kind of top 10 in their eyes, they might be almost expected to put down a good performance, and in a way I think that kind of actually plays into Liverpool's hands a little bit.
I agree on that, and I think that's the point here with Villa is it's a bit of a free hit, but it's kind of like we saw with Conte at the weekend, Dan, is that there's no expectation. No one's expecting Aston Villa to beat Liverpool. No. But if you can go and you can keep it close and you can nick a point or whatever, nick a win. Let's not be totally disrespectful to them. It's that's it gives more sort of countenance to Gerrard's role. You know, it strengthens his position and it gets their fans excited because he's got to keep doing that. It's about next season. It's about making sure people can see they're on a progression.
Yeah, and that's where they're at now, isn't it? Gerrard will be telling them all, you'd have thought, in the last few weeks, because they've been on the beach, in many people's eyes, in inverted commas, for a while, because their relegation danger pretty much left about 3 or 4 weeks after Gerrard came into the job. But now he'll be looking towards next season, because when you've got a man like Steven Gerrard at the forefront of your football club, we've already signed Coutinho, who I know you want to talk about. A lot of them players be thinking, God, who else is he going to attract? He's going to be looking big, he's going to be thinking big, and the way he's talking plays into that as well, because he's obviously just looked at Van Bronckhorst taking over his job at Rangers, getting into the Europa League final. He's saying, I want that for Villa.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a part of that. Well, by there, still be playing till the end of the season, thankfully, in one respect. But also, as well, a lot has happened, and Em mentions the occasion there, and she's dead right, because when Gerrard first came to Anfield as a manager earlier on this season, there was the whole, this is like an audition type thing.
Yes.
That's gone now.
Yeah.
Because not only has Gerrard not really took off at Villa yet, he's done okay, but he hasn't took off, but Klopp signed that 2-year extension.
Yes.
Because that whole thing's gone now. Now it's just about Liverpool Football Club getting our job done, dealing with our business, which I think is perfect, quite frankly.
Yeah.
No, I agree on that. I think that it's just taken a bit of the circus away
Yes,
from it, and that
yeah.
can come back if they give us a real bloody nose, or they really come at us. Or
And
the
they
game's
often
tight.
do. They often do. I've been to Villa a couple of times in the last couple of years as away, and obviously we had the one Robertson and Mane late on, you know what I mean? And we've had a few really tight games, so I expect this to be no different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I agree to the point there, Emma, is that, and you both kind of made this, is that because of the Klopp extension, I just don't think there's that level of pressure on it. And, you know, Gerrard can be Gerrard. Gerrard could just be the manager he wants to be in this.
Yeah.
And Liverpool can treat this like they're just a team in the way.
It
You know
is,
what I mean?
yeah.
There doesn't need to be any sort of nostalgia or anything around this. Hopefully we've put all that away. Gerrard will get a reception from the away fans, of course he will, because we love him dearly. But right here, right now, his team are just in the way. Yeah. And what I'm hopeful for as well beyond this is that best case scenario from this is that we beat them. Maybe it's a bit of a hard fought one, but it's something that it's a lesson that Villa can take and learn, and hopefully then transpose into the game at the end of the season.
Yeah,
if they're going to sprinkle some narrative.
That would be the perfect scenario, wouldn't it? But no, like, you're absolutely right. It is, you know, as I say, I guess it's kind of just another game that Liverpool have to win. And I think off the back of the performance, obviously, against Spurs, and the fact that City went and got that gap with the big win against Newcastle, it's just probably on paper one of the best games Liverpool really could have got next. A team that aren't really fighting for anything massively significant, just another team that Liverpool on paper are expected to win, and it's kind of away from home, perfect opportunity for Liverpool to just go and sort of give it everything to respond to the weekend. So I think on paper it's a pretty good fixture.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to discuss Felipe Coutinho, and if you're watching live, let us know your thoughts as well. He won't get quite the same reception, I don't think, Dan, as Steven Gerrard. Although, actually, you know what, I say that, I don't know, I don't think he will, but also maybe there's a degree to which Liverpool being good, no one's asked as much, I guess, about Coutinho as they maybe were when we played him in the Champions League.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, the Champions League was a different beast altogether, wasn't it? I mean, we've got a job to do tomorrow night, but that Champions League game, because he was still at Barcelona as well, so there was that factor in it, and whereby he obviously left us for them, and there was the whole bitterness, I suppose, towards him leaving the club. Whereas now, his career's obviously took that much of a downward spiral. He's done okay at Villa. That why we probably do feel a little bit ambivalent towards him. It's just like, oh, bless him, maybe a little bit. It's not quite gone the way it planned, whereas we're riding this crest of a wave. So I think he'll get a okay response. Maybe not so much from the Liverpool away fans, who tend to be a bit more vociferous. The home fans might have been a bit more gentle towards him, perhaps, if it was Anfield. But I don't think it'd be particularly bad.
It's funny because that Barcelona game, I think, was so busy, like trying to put Messi off and hating Suarez for being a massive bellend,
exactly,
and all that you forget that Coutinho's involved.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it will be interesting. Personally, I don't think anyone will be that focused about Coutinho, because, you know, as we're talking about Villa kind of being another team that's just, you know, one to beat, Coutinho is kind of just one of those players that he's another one that left Liverpool before this kind of glorious period. So that's no disrespect for what he did for the club. You know, he gave the fans some great moments, and, you know, he did well in a Liverpool shirt. But since he's moved on, Liverpool have gone up another level. So I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a bit blunt to say, but everyone's moved on from Coutinho now.
Yeah, I'm hoping, and again, you know me by this point. I like stories, I like spinning yarns, and I like the idea. We've already talked about like obviously Villa last game of the season. Could Gerrard be the one that hands Liverpool the league, etc., etc., etc. Obviously, it's all for naught if Liverpool don't win this game and the games to follow. But there's a Coutinho, I think the only way he ever gets himself back into Liverpool's good graces is by scoring in that last game, is by doing something in that, you know, and having a Javier Mascherano style moment where he's interviewed post game and he says, "I know the Liverpool fans weren't happy with me for leaving, but I wanted to give them one last moment or something." But yeah, I don't necessarily have the antipathy towards him that maybe I did previously, because in being crap and his career not out, you know. Torres was a bit like this as well, whereas it really hurt me seeing Suarez. I could deal with him being great because I knew he was great, but when he then is for Barcelona what he was for us in front of us, that really annoyed me, because that tarnished the love I had. Whereas like, and Sterling's had a bit of that as well. Sterling actually having a good career that follows makes you not like him as much. Whereas the Torres being rubbish and Coutinho being rubbish means that I can kind of, provided he doesn't score on Tuesday night, because he's dead. He's dead to us if he was to do that. But hopefully he'll, he, whatever the circumstances are, just give him enough fuel in the tank to just go and do something later on. Yes, right, we're going to talk more about what Liverpool do to approach this game. We have had a super chat actually come in before we head to the break from Ethsham Ul Hassan. Says, do we think we could see an Origi Aguero moment? I mean, if anyone's got an Aguero moment in them, and you know, it'd be mad if there wasn't another Origi moment between now and the end of the season then, but I don't know. I don't even know if he's going to get on the pitch. I mean, the fact that Keita comes on at the weekend. Yeah, I was surprised about that, because I thought Origi was going to come on against Spurs. I'm going to say yes, though. I do think there is an Origi moment still to come in the season. It could even be against Villa. You know, on Tuesday, a few days after playing Spurs, it's almost like with the FA Cup final come in, Mike Klopp perhaps, you know, rest one of Salah, Mane, bring on Origi a little bit later on, and he ends up scoring in a scrappy 1-0 win. It wouldn't surprise me, so I'm gonna say yeah. If someone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Divock, isn't it? Right, we'll discuss Liverpool's team after the break, and who we think should be playing, who we think should be involved, and we'll do a bit more Origi chat, because why not? Trivia question: 3 players who've played for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool have also played for Aston Villa. Name them. Answer after this. Hey everyone, the run into the most exciting season in the history of football is underway. The mighty Reds are in the hunt for 4 trophies, and we have got that covered from all angles, whether it's pre-game.
There are big similarities between United and Liverpool because of the history and the success and the demand to be the best.
Post-game, when Liverpool got better in the second half, it came because we unleashed Andy Robertson.
A+. Yes, excellent work in the XG goal timeline graph.
Documentaries.
So why not take a trip back in time with me now as we look at the story of the crew?
Features. And interviews.
Yeah, I played against him in I think it was just after lockdown. We played Blackburn and played Liverpool at Anfield.
There has never been a better time to join Redmen Plus and get yourself more Redmen content, more cultural features, closer access to the city of Liverpool, the club, and the vibes on the streets of Liverpool as we head towards an unprecedented end to the 2022 season. What a ride it has been. Come and join us over on redmenplus.com. It is a streaming service built specifically for Liverpool fans, and we want you over there, whether you like video content or podcast content. We have got you covered in your native podcasting app. There are 2 tiers available. Club Captain gets you access to all of the content, but if you want more, if you want to get closer to the Redmen TV team, then you can join as a club legend, get access to our Discord group, and don't forget there's also a whole bunch of extra perks, including free merchandise, oh yes, and live show tickets as well. Redmen Plus, the best independent Liverpool media streaming service on the planet today. Get involved. Head to redmenplus.com. There you go. Yeah, join Redmen Plus for some incredible content pre and post match, and in general getting you close to the Liverpool culture. As I said quite clearly, I don't know if you misheard before the break. Name the 5 Liverpool players who play for Jurgen Klopp and also play for we went to the break and you immediately went him, and I was like, well, I haven't got them, and quite clearly they have played for Jurgen Klopp and Aston Villa. So yeah, name the 5 players who play for Jurgen Klopp. I'll have a quick check about in the comments and see if anyone's got any. A couple of incorrect answers. Ludog says Ricky Lambert, no. Barini, no. Unless he was trying to pull out the worst front 3 because you've got Balotelli in there as well. Yeah. Shane Downey says James Milner, correct. Right, go on. Let's name our 5.
Danny Ings.
Ding.
Christian
Benteke, ding.
Alori.
Thiago Alori, well done. Sai for shouting that through the wall. Yeah.
We just said Milner, haven't we?
Yeah.
Milner.
Coutinho. Yeah.
And Phil Coutinho.
And Phil Coutinho. There you go. Well done. LFC history very nearly scuppered me there. I don't think they've updated the most recent
Throwing them
ones.
under the bus, I love
so
it.
yeah, Danny Ings and Phil Coutinho weren't on there. So yeah, thank you so much. Team effort, guys. Well done. Have you got them all right? You're brilliant. Well done. Okay, Ashley Frith with a super chat while we were on a break, which I think is a good way to kind of kick us off in this. He says, do we have to start thinking about goal difference? I have not thought about goal difference for months and months and months. And then I looked at it yesterday before the Man City-Newcastle game and went, oh, crap. Because it was just down to a goal. It's now 4 in Man City's favour. I mean, I don't think you can because we've been in that situation before.
My initial thought was not for about 5 or 6 years, but I thought about goal difference, funnily enough, from that fateful night at Sellers Park, and I never want to think about it again, quite frankly. So for me, no. And not only no because of that and what's gone before, but also I don't think it's going to come into it, and I say that with such confidence, but it obviously could, and the pathway would almost suggest it will. But City obviously have to lose a game for that even to be a factor, and if they lose, that's instantly a negative, whether it's 1 or whatever, and we have to win all our games just to be more positive. So I just don't see it really clashing. We're not going to win all our remaining games by a single goal. I'd be very surprised if we did, let's put it that way. We could well do. Obviously, it's not implausible, but realistically, we're going to win one of them by a couple. In which case, goal difference is instantly out of the question. So I just don't see it being a factor, and I really hope not. Is it goals 4 after that? I think I'm right in saying,
scored,
which I imagine we'd be ahead on. I don't know about after yesterday.
Okay, well, no, because
City are ahead.
every metric in that regard, we are a little behind. So yeah, in terms of it at the moment, City goals scored 89, goals against 21. We've scored 87 and conceded 23. So 2 in each.
Weirdly enough, from a work perspective, like we kind of have been keeping a little rough eye. Liverpool have actually led the way on goal difference for quite a long while until this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sort of been something that like I've kind of had in the back of my mind, but I completely agree with you. I don't think it will come into it, to be honest.
It would be very Jurgen Klopp to lose the league by a point in 18-19 and then lose it on goal difference, by the way.
Or goals scored.
Absolutely, because it's got pure Mainz vibes about it.
Horrible.
But it does mean that we'll then go and win the league by a canter next season, because that's how
At what point does it go to a playoff? That's always been a thing.
I don't know.
I think it goes to head-to-head.
Well, head-to-head would be
a tie as well.
Would be a tie as
2
well.
draws.
So
and then,
that I guess I've got to be the first people to have this conversation. That's terrifying. I imagine if that's the. I mean, I guess it would.
With some competitions, I'm not sure about the Premier League. Some competitions bring in yellow cards.
Jesus.
A sort of disciplinary
Jesus
record,
Christ.
but yeah.
Ours is really good normally. I don't know about this year. Ours is brilliant.
That's Hang on a second, Premier League.
Yeah,
this is too early to be doing this. What are we doing? What are we doing?
It is too early, of course, but we've been asked. So.
It what?
Doesn't go to yellow cards.
He says with hope. He says with hope in the back.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I don't need to Google that just yet. Like, right, okay. So I'm having a panic attack. Let's not.
I'll tell you what, though. How good would that be, though? Like a
Yellow
playoff.
Yellow cards.
No. A playoff. Like,
A playoff.
Yeah.
Oh no, I couldn't deal with a playoff.
Playoff at like I don't know.
In the week leading up
like
to the
Old
Champions League
Trafford or
final.
something. Yeah.
Oh God. Oh my God. No,
that would
don't.
be insane.
I tell you what. If City can just lose 2 games of football. That would be great. Right. On all that though, it is our last chance to put City under pressure before the final game of the season, because they play. Obviously, we don't play at the weekend in the league because of the FA Cup, of course. So they'll play a game which will put us a game behind, which we then catch up against Southampton afterwards, and blah 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 blah. So to the point is that it's going to be. We shouldn't focus too much on this. Is the kind of point as well to some extent. We just need to get our business done here, because the FA Cup is all of a sudden looming really, really large at the weekend. I want us to be able to focus on that, but I don't know where do you still sit on this, because I want to run them down. We should be keeping going. I think the Jurgen Klopp will have that mentality.
100%.
But we're 90 minutes away from another piece of silverware as well.
Yeah, although I do think the fact of being on a Tuesday massively helps, because I think there's a few factors in this actually, in that like you say, there's a long time between when Liverpool play their next Premier League game. So mentally, I think it's a nice break just from the relentless pressure of you've got to win every game. So they've got, a few days to just kind of chill out a little bit and prepare for the FA Cup final, and then they know. I think it's just, you don't have to psych yourself up for that. When you're sort of heading into Wembley, you only go to Wembley for, for a one-off game.
Yeah.
So I know that sounds really silly, but I guess like from a mental point of view, it's a lot easier to just go to Wembley knowing that it's a final than kind of having to turn up to Anfield or Villa Park and go, you have to win this. It's treat it like it's a final.
For me, it's one way or the other, really. Win this, or I don't expect us to lose to Villa, but kind of one way or the other, like a draw would just be like, bleh. You know what I mean? Like if you lose it, or you have to be fair, even lose or draw, I think that's us. I think that's the title done. I don't think there's any doubt. If you win it, either way, what I'm talking about is like clear headspace for the final. I think Emma's right. There's just enough time between that game and the final to get prepared. But it'd be nice to just compartmentalise and go, right, there you go. Push the league off to the side. We've done all we can. We've got all the points we're going to get, and now we need to turn our eyes towards it. But I don't want us to get lost in too much in the league stuff, because it'll be what it'll be. We've fucked it, I think. You know what I mean? Being brutally honest about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't in our hands.
No.
Yeah.
And it's still not in our hands.
But then at the same time, if Liverpool win against Villa and they keep some kind of pressure up on City, then there's a long time for City to have to think about that before Liverpool play the next game.
Yeah, and again, it does kind of hand it over. And that's, again, this is another thing, is that it kind of hands it over to Man City stuff. The fact that we play Tuesday, they play Wednesday, we'll talk about that in due course. But this is what it's all about. And this is why, I don't know, I presume we'll just go strong again for this. I think we'll just keep with the cycle that we've been in, because it actually hasn't really changed the landscape too much, us drawing. Really. Not significantly. We still need City to drop points. So, yeah, just...
No, I agree, yeah.
strong.
I think the implications of what happened over the weekend, they weren't particularly massive. Obviously, it was a slight kick in the teeth. We've now needed them to lose a game, but we needed them essentially to blow up regardless. It just has to be slightly bigger this time. So it's not the end of the world necessarily. We're still very much in the race. But in terms of our team selection, where we're at, I said a few weeks ago on here, we are, I think at the time, it was 7 or 8 games away from the most incredible season we've ever seen. And we're going to ask the same group of 13, 14 players to go to the well time and time again, and nothing's changed, quite frankly. It's still the same 13, 14 players with that slight rotation where you see Keita coming in for Henderson, etc., etc. You see Jota for Diaz, and that's about it, really. We don't see, maybe Matip and Konate were 2 more you could mention. Aside from that, you don't see anything else.
The big issue that Liverpool, I think, are going to have to overcome as a squad, and I'll caveat this, but they should do, and they should be fine, because they've come this far and they've been very experienced in big, important games of football. The problem with the cup final, I think Chelsea have fallen foul. That's something my dad said on the show last week. You're starting to see that the big games on the horizon mentality from Chelsea, where they have, I think, starting to think, well, our season's all on that FA Cup, and I want to make sure I'm available for it. And this is the one real looming danger of this, Emmett, is that there's lads who are going to take to the field against Aston Villa who will be like, oh my God, the FA Cup final, I've got to make sure that I'm involved. And that can bring motivation, but it can also bring, you're in a 50-50 and there's 5 minutes to go. Are you going to put all of yourself in that tackle? That's the biggest thing that Liverpool needs. I don't know how you safeguard against that. Yeah. And it might be the case of maybe there is 1 or 2 more changes than we would expect, because you want maybe it's an Oxlade-Chamberlain, maybe it's a Curtis Jones, maybe it's a Harvey Elliott. I don't think it will be, but there's a case to be made for a couple of those lads to say, go out there, because worst case, something bad happens to you, you ain't going to play. You ain't going to play anyway. So go out there and give more. Maybe you can get 10% out of someone, knowing that this is their last shot at getting in the Liverpool side.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I hadn't really thought of it like that. I guess I'd thought of it from the flip side, from a Chelsea point of view, where actually the result on the weekend now means that like the league for them, like before they didn't really have anything to play for. They in a little bit of danger, potentially throwing away top 4 now. So it's almost like the FA Cup final now isn't their last game. So I was kind of looking at it from their point of view, thinking that they might actually rotate a little bit more, perhaps, because they now have to seriously sort their Premier League form out before the end of the season.
You mentioned that. Obviously, Tottenham are in 5th at the moment, 62 points. Arsenal 4th on 66, and Chelsea on 67. Yeah, they're getting drawn into. It'd be mad if they were to slip out the top 4, but particularly with the FA Cup, it goes one way or the other. They win it, that's their season done. They lose it, they've got to fight again, but also how do you pick yourself back up again after that? We'll worry about that conversation in a few days' time, I guess. But yeah, this one, I mean, Naby Keita's probably set to come back in, Dan, I'd guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think we were all surprised. We alluded to it earlier that he was the one who was chosen off the bench. That was a bizarre call from Jurgen Klopp, who's been getting absolutely everything right, quite frankly, in recent weeks. Let's get it right. But yeah, I think Keita probably does come back into this side. I think you probably want Henderson for the final.
Yeah,
I think I'd be right in saying.
100% agree, yeah.
And that's not so much. Listen, this sounds really stupid. That's not much a change. That's rotation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's all that is. And I've got absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. So that would be a pretty much no-brainer change. But on the Chelsea point and our sort of intensity point, the main reason I wouldn't make changes that you're alluding to there is because I think we're a better side for going and going and going. I've said it a million times before. I think when we're in a mad run of fixtures and we keep asking to go, that's perfect. And it's dangerous for Chelsea if they are thinking, like the results would suggest, we can coast through the rest of the Premier League and all our eggs are in the FA Cup basket. I don't know how you ask someone to do 75%, or you ask yourself to do 75% and then step it up against a team like us. I think that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So for me, like I say, I'd be asking maybe a Keita to come in, maybe a Jota to come in. The Firmino one's really interesting. I think we've missed him massively. Yeah. But aside from that, Matip, I think, I was quite surprised to see Canate start on Saturday. So I'd probably go with Matip. But aside from that, we go.
The Matip thing, I think he's nailed on to come back in for this. I think Bobby Firmino, Emma, we're in that interesting position. It's not the right word, but tricky situation where he's not been fit enough this season, and I don't know where he's at. Is he? Because Klopp basically said prior to the weekend he's back in training, but he might just benefit from not being involved at the weekend and then go for Tuesday, which kind of suggests that he might chuck him in. If he wants him, let's say he wants him to start against Chelsea at the weekend, I don't know that he does. He's going to have to play something, and it's whether but if he doesn't, and he just wants him off the bench, is there maybe just the thing to, you start Bobby Firmino here? Because the issue we've got in attack is we all thinking, let's play Diaz every game. Mane's been the centre-forward option, the best option for us in recent weeks, and Salah's just going to play because he's Mo Salah. Jota's in stinking form at the moment.
Yep.
And maybe Firmino actually, there's a case to be made if you play Jota because you need to play him into form, but I think we've tried that now 2 games on the bounce and it's backfired.
Yeah.
Bobby Firmino, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And there might just be that point of Jota might have just had his opportunities here, and Jurgen Klopp might just think, go on, I'll just get Bobby in because I want it out. He becomes our 4th option for the weekend as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, when I was listening to you then, I was thinking I probably would actually start Firmino on Tuesday. And certainly if he doesn't start, I would 100% expect him to come on. Pretty much for that reason, but also because I think Diaz, you want him to play every game, and that's a problem, but he has to start the FA Cup final no matter what for me. He is the one out of the 3. Probably Mane because he's been, really crucial in that centre forward role recently. But certainly Diaz is the one that you need to start the final. So I think you have to rotate him a little bit on Tuesday. And I just think out of the 3, you could probably move Mane out wide, put Bobby through the middle, maybe start with Salah, but it wouldn't surprise me if Jota does come on just to rest Salah if they get the job done in enough time at Villa. But yeah, it would be more a bit of sort of, kind of two ways. Give Bobby a bit of a run out, but also I think more to rotate Mane and Diaz, because I think both of them need a bit of a rest.
It's kind of your point from earlier, Dan, is that it's not like being dropped, it is just being
Yeah.
rotated, because and that's the beauty. If Bobby's there, I want him in form and I want him available, because he's just brilliant. He's just a brilliant footballer.
Course, yeah.
And he's actually, when he's been on the pitch, like his goal and assist return has been outstanding. It's been right up there with the best of the lads that we've got. If you can get him up and running, and the act of getting him up and running also means you've pulled back one of the other lads who's probably played a lot of football. So a Mane or a Diaz or a Salah, not necessarily a direct swap in with those positions, but you shuffle the pack a little bit. That works out as the ideal sort of scenario for me, really. And then you might even, as I say, have played Bobby into form where you can go against Chelsea. You know what, Bobby, go ahead.
100%. We've all seen how important Firmino is, particularly in big games. Like, we've got an FA Cup final and a Champions League final on the horizon, so we want all of these people, Jota included.
Yes.
Because the Jota case is a really interesting one. Like, I agree with you. I think his form's fell off a cliff, quite frankly, the last few weeks, but we could do with him playing better football at some point over. So he is going to get minutes, I'd imagine, tomorrow. Very much doubt to be from the start. I would be tempted to go with the old front three tomorrow, quite frankly, because Diaz is actually, I think I'm right in saying he's played more football than anyone in Europe.
Pretty much.
Which sounds like something I've just said, but that might actually be the case.
I think that's true.
Yeah. So you probably do want to give him a rest, as much as he looks phenomenal. Yeah. And he's absolutely chomping at the bit to play every minute. We're not going to let him play every minute, you know what I mean? We are going to have to rotate and rest him at some point. So tomorrow might be the day for that. But like I say, I think it's really imperative we have someone like Firmino who just offers so much. Like, Mane's been exceptional, like you've both said, in the centre-forward role, but Firmino's a different player. And he makes us play different football, quite frankly. And we've got Real Madrid soon. So
yeah. It was the tricky one on Jota is, we said this for Villarreal. And doing the Villarreal build-up, I said, probably want to start him because you want to play him into a bit of form. And he gets hooked at half-time. And it's not worked.
Hasn't worked,
yeah. And then he comes off the bench at the weekend. That's right?
Yes, he did, yeah.
And it just doesn't click for him. And I'm in this position where we'll play everyone else. We're trying to play Salah into form, but I don't know if we can afford to play two of our front three into form. It's a really, really difficult situation. And I say the obvious answer is just play Diaz because he's absolutely flying. Play Mane because he's flying. But this is where Jurgen's going to win the big bucks, because I wouldn't be opposed to seeing start Jota on the left, stop Bobby through the middle, and then Salah, and then you've got Mane and Diaz as like 60 minutes. If the game isn't comfortably shown up by then, you're throwing them lads on and having a half an hour chase to see if you can go and get the result that you need. I think I'd prefer that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, because this could be a game that goes down to the wire, and I guess I'd rather be bringing Diaz and Mane into the fray than a Firmino you're trying to get back to fitness, and a Jota who's bang out of form.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. You could argue the other way, where if you start off on fire and you get the job done early, then you can rest players. But which I think is usually more my mentality. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Jota starting. But yeah, personally, I think I'm going for more the get the job done nice and early.
I've said all this. Jurgen Klopp is very much the kind of guy who will just go. Yeah, he'll go for it, and he'll see who's left standing. Yeah, and then they'll patch everyone together. And the fact is, obviously Chelsea play midweek as well. Yeah. I think so. There's considerations.
By the way, sorry, I was just going to ask a random curveball question, but do you think Jota and Diaz can play well together?
I think everyone was looking at Sadio Mane when Diaz came in and went, well, that's him done. And that was the end of him. And Mane, thanks to the success at AFCON and the World Cup qualifiers, has come back not giving a shit. He's like, I'm Sadio Mane, I'm boss, I'm just going to play and be boss.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think Diogo Jota, he's gone from everyone's favourite player, like he's starting this front three, he's the new front three, he's the new kid on the block, and now all of a sudden, the position he was bought for, I think he was bought for left wing. Yeah. And he was he was really coming up on the rails there. And then we've brought Diaz in, who does what he does, but he's like 5 times faster. Mm-hmm. And then he go, okay, well, I've moved to centre forward. Okay, well, I'm going to take Firmino's position, because I'm scoring goals and Bobby Firmino doesn't score loads of goals. And then we've moved Mane over there, and he's had a new lease of life. And all of a sudden, Jota's found himself down the pecking order. And I don't know if I just don't know psychologically where he's at. He feels like, and in addition to this, he's played loads and loads of football as well, which we don't really, give credit for.
Factor in, It's an interesting one because credit should go to Sadio Mane for everything you just said there, but he has reinvented himself in that centre-forward position. He's been outstanding. And his attributes are relatively akin to Firmino's in terms of he's strong enough to hold off defenders, which is really important when you're playing that role. I'm not entirely convinced Jota is. I actually think Jota had just started to look like he could be a Firmino replacement at one point earlier this season. He was doing things well, he was linking up, playing nicely. But the last few weeks, and I've been saying it for quite a while actually, his performances have been, again, I go back to player ratings, he's been dropping like 4 or 5 out of 10s and then scoring. So everyone goes, 7, 8 out of 10, happy days. But that's not quite been accurate.
Yeah, he's been very Divock like that. Like Divock Origi would do that for you, where he'd play 5 games, he'd score 5 and 5, but he put 5, like 6 out of 10 performances along the way, not feel like he suited what you were doing, and that's the trouble. I just looking at it in terms of the minutes played, he's played the 10th most minutes in all comps for Liverpool this season. Diogo Jota, he's played more than Thiago, Kanate, Keita, Firmino, Tsimikas, and all those down there.
He did have an injury as well, didn't he? And when he came back in the Carabao Cup final, I think I'm right in saying, and he looked off the pace there, and I just wonder whether we half rushed him back, which isn't something we naturally do. Obviously, I'm well aware of that, but maybe he rushed himself back in terms of desperate to get back and play, and he's still half playing catch up. In the meantime, Mane's been brilliant, Diaz has been sensational, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that's it. And look, again, seasons have peaks and troughs, and the beauty of having so many options is that we've been kind of getting on without it. And he's been taking over. He's still been scoring goals. I mean, that's the Arsenal game. He scores a vital goal in that. He's clearly still got a goal in him. And I don't know whether I'm over-reading into all of this, because Liverpool have kind of been taken over quite nicely, that I haven't really noticed. It's harder to notice individual struggles when the whole is performing so well, but this might just be one of them where he gets to the end of the season, he could do with a bit of a rest, because he's played a lot of international football in addition to this, and it won't really matter. We'll refresh things in the summer and he'll just come back and carry on.
There's also the aspect of going from a club like Wolves, which is, no disrespect, but a hell of a lot smaller than Liverpool.
Only play 40 games a season.
So the actual mental strain of moving to a new club and having to deal with all those new media pressures is something he probably hasn't really dealt with before. So.
I see. And look, he's got a bit of a fight on his hands, and it's going to be an interesting test of his character, because that must be a bit of a blow to feel like you're the heir apparent to what's going on, and then all of a sudden you're fourth. There's a new lad come in and you're 4th choice or 5th choice, I guess, in some people's heads. We'll know if he can get over that. Then he'll be a great Liverpool success story. If he doesn't, then it sounds like he'll get shuffled on, or he'll be part of the pack, and he'll have to deal with that or whatever. Plenty of lads who are further down the pecking order at this point who seem to be handling it reasonably well. You've got to watch the build-up. I love watching the warm-ups, and you see Oxlade-Chamberlain, the way he's just having a whale of a time. You know what I mean? Most of us are like, oh God, he must be devastated he's not playing. And I'm sure he's not happy that he's not playing, but they all understand their roles, the wider roles in the squad.
On that point as well, and just to say, Minamino celebrated a goal recently. I can't remember which goal it was, which is really poor for me. And he runs onto the pitch and he's like a massive, but he's like jumping up in the air and he's delighted. And you think he hasn't kicked the ball in anger for about 6 months, as far as I can remember. To see him enjoying it like that is a really testament to what you're saying.
No, I completely agree on that. Right, we're going to pick our 11s in a moment. We've got a fantastic competition running this month to win a signed Liverpool shirt by Jamie Carragher and Dirk Kuyt. It's amazing, and here's some details on that. Hey everyone, we have got an incredible prize to give away this month. It is the Liverpool 08-09 home shirt, vintage by the way, not one of those DHgate fakes, signed by Liverpool legends Jamie Carragher and Dirk Kuyt. We are giving it away. All you've got to do to enter into that competition is to join Redmen Plus as a Club Legend tier subscriber. Yes, if you're an existing club captain, upgrade to Club Legend, or if you're just coming at it fresh, become a Club Legend, get your name in the draw, and also gain access to a wealth of Liverpool content each and every week. Pre-game, post-game, analysis, interviews, features, documentaries of a level that Netflix and Amazon would be proud of. We have got you covered from all angles as Liverpool face an historic end to the season, and not only will you be able to follow that and get closer to the culture of Liverpool Football Club, but you could also have an incredible, wonderful, amazing, unique product to hang on your wall and look back, sit back and marvel at. No one else has got this in the world apart from us, and we're going to give it to one of our Club Legend subscribers because they are awesome. Be awesome, join up, and hopefully you can be the one to win that amazing prize. Yes, wonderful competition prize for our Club Legend tier subscribers over on Redmen Plus. We do amazing competition prizes every month, to be perfectly honest, but that is a really, really, really special one. I think I mentioned it on that a bit, but yeah, that's an actual. It's not like one of those DHgate replicas or whatever. That is a genuine. I am. It does just hurt me a little bit to give that away, but yeah, I'd like that for the personal collection, but no, we're going to give it away to our Club Legends because those guys are absolutely awesome. Right, 11s then. I think we're getting there. Dan, what are you going for?
So, obviously, Alisson in goal. Might shock a few people. No, I'm joking. Trent to right back. I would bring Matip back in for Canate. I think Canate started three games, 2 games at least on the run now. We don't often see that, quite frankly. So, I think Matip in. Van Dijk, Robertson. Obviously, Robertson came off after an hour on Saturday. And then Fabinho, who has been flogged, quite frankly, this season. But he has to go again, doesn't he? I do think that's something we need to address in the summer on a wider topic. Keita, like I said earlier, Thiago has to go again for us as well. And then, following on from our discussion earlier, it's probably different when they walked into the room. I think I'd go Salah, Firmino and Mane.
Ooh. Any difference?
I'm going the exact same, apart from... actually, you said Matip's come in, didn't you? Yeah, because I think Canate will start the FA Cup final. So yeah, I've gone the exact same.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I wonder... And it's only just occurred to me while we were chatting. It depends what we feel our best team is. What's our starting 11? And we've kind of said, you said it earlier, Dan, about like you think Henderson for the final.
Yeah.
But also, I wonder whether is the team that we start against Man City in the semi-final. Is there something to read into that? You know, and is it? What I'm saying is, does he want Keita to start the final? Is maybe this thing, and this is if that's the case. What does that look like for Liverpool's 11? And I wonder whether that means Henderson starts this one, potentially. And the other one is, I agree on Fabinho being flogged. We've seen a bit of rotation in that Henderson could come in for that one. And we saw it at Newcastle, where we might see that again, where we go Milner, Henderson, Thiago, or Milner, Henderson, Keita. I can see the light, the dying of the light behind Dan's eyes when I suggested that midfield.
My God. I love them all to pieces, by the way. Love them all to pieces in their own individual way.
Blanket of having all the best lads on the pitch.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Didn't like it at Newcastle, wouldn't like it tomorrow.
James Milner has a belter of a game in that.
Brilliant, superb footballer. Been a tremendous servant to the football club, you know.
And as we've already established, it's another of his former clubs.
Yes, one of the 5.
Thiago will always not starting, is he? Not for me, that midfield.
Yeah, I we're at this stage where I think the smart money, the starting 11 prediction, I would guess would be, we know the numbers, it's largely going to be, of the front, you'd imagine the front 4 will be 3 from 4 of Diaz, Jota, Mane, Salah, and Firmino would probably be a substitute option, I would imagine, having been out. The midfield will be 3 from 4 of Fabinho, Henderson, Keita, Thiago, and the back 4 will be 4 from 5 of add Canate to what we've already discussed.
The only other one I thought of was potentially Chimikas coming in for Robbo, but I do think Robertson will start only because he got his rest.
And normally we can see those substitutions get made, and it was they were very pre-planned substitutions on the weekend, weren't they? Because I don't think you put Kostas Chimikas on when you're chasing a win over Anthony Robertson. As good as he is, by the way, and I thought he was fine. is sometimes an indication of what you're going to see start next week. So it wouldn't be out the realms of possibility for Costas to start left back in this one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it myself because I'm a massive shithouse. And I agree with all that. But I don't know. If we're treating the FA Cup as he's got to get his best 11 in as prime condition as possible, then I would start Matip at the back. I would even put Kostas Tsimikas at left back. I would put Milner and Henderson as midfield 2 pretty much with Keita. And then I would put, Christ almighty, I would put Jota, Firmino, Salah up front. Because I think that team is capable of beating Aston Villa. And it then gives you all of your options. You can play any team you want, I think, then against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I don't think Jäger will do that.
To be honest,
I think he will flog the lads
I'm very
again.
much of the opinion that this is a side that's used to playing every 3 or 4 days. They're playing on Tuesday and they're not playing again until Saturday. So while I do think you obviously need to rotate slightly, I don't think you need to make loads of changes. I honestly don't, because those players are so used to playing, like I say, every 3 or 4 days, that actually to not do that, I think would be a bit of a weird way to prepare for a final, because that's all they've done for months. So I personally don't expect many changes at all. Like I said, maybe 1 or 2, a Konate or a Matip might switch, and then I guess a Henderson, a Keita in the middle, and potentially Bobby up front.
There's a comment here from SS. This is Villa aren't a low block team, so I play Hendo, and that's one of the things. And I thought we did this against Newcastle as well. I think Jordan Henderson is the perfect 6 for Liverpool when you're expected to dominate possession, when you don't have to necessarily fight and scrap for it all. I know Villa will be physical, and they will try, they'll look to get in our faces, because that's like rule number 1 of Gerrard's football. But if we feel like we're going to be the totally dominant football team, then you can play Henderson in the 6.
I just worried we're making, if we were to do something like that, we're making things complicated for ourselves when it doesn't necessarily need to be. Like, I think we can ask these players, like Emma alludes to, we can ask these players to go again over the course of the next few weeks, not just this week. And that's what they do. That's what they've been doing for quite a long time now at this club. So I think if we start making Tsimikas and Hendersons in 6, I think we just overcomplicate things.
The Tsimikas thing might be a step too far, and maybe Firmino's another step too far. But
the only thing on Firmino is like you said earlier on, Klopp essentially, from what I could read out of it, said he was ready without him being involved. And normally, you're right in what you say when the subs very much give you an inclination as to what's going to happen in the next game. And I think normally we would have seen Firmino at some point, but the fact we haven't doesn't really worry me for tomorrow, because I think he's more ready than normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you said it before, Paul, like, you know what you're getting with Bobby, and I think that's the thing. Even against a team like Villa, I just look at their back 4, and especially like Konza and Mings in the middle, and I just think get Bobby just running their legs out, and I just think the front 3 could have a bit of a field day. It's
definitely a possibility. Just quickly looking at the Villa 11 from the weekend.
Matty Cash as well at fullback.
Yeah,
I'd get running at him.
Lucas Dean, Tyrone Mings, Konza, Cash. Callum Chambers plays DM. That was a bit of a mad one. That Luis, John McGinn, Emi Buendia plays in the 10, and Ings and Ollie Watkins up front. Obviously, got that perennial. We've got 2 lads who play up front. How the hell? It's been Arsenal's problem for the last three or 4 seasons or whatever. No, you're right. They should be get-attable. Yeah, it's an interesting call for the manager. Let us know in the comments what you would do in this regard. Do you rotate slightly more? Because I'm saying this, we can rotate like it's a dirty word. And when that team I've put out there should be more than capable of beating Aston Villa. It's packed full of internationals who've won absolutely everything you can win in footy. Whether Jürgen has got the I don't want to say the bottle to do that, because that's what a knob.
The challenge down.
There you go. Jürgen, why don't you risk it all because I've got to call you out? No, I don't care, genuinely. I'm happy either way. I don't really care what 11 we put out, but I'm just kind of talking out that it's not outside the realms of possibility. Yeah. It's whether we think. Question: do we think Aston Villa are better or worse than Newcastle?
I think on current form they're worse.
Okay. I think that's an interesting point, because they're obviously talking about Newcastle are 11th in the league, Villa are 11th in the league, Newcastle are 13th in the league. Villa have got 2 games in hand on them as well.
I just think the last sort of 2 months under Newcastle, I would argue, have been more.
So that being That being said, do Liverpool rate Villa and Newcastle at a similar level? And if they do, then don't be shocked to see Milner.
No, yeah, that's fair. I think Villa have got better individuals. I agree completely on form. But the only thing that doesn't scare me, but makes me think we'll go stronger than we did against Newcastle is because of those players, like your John McGinn, your Coutinho, who's already mentioned, Ollie Watkins as well. They've got good players in there. Not that Newcastle have them, but they've kind of been galvanised by a different scenario altogether since Eddie Howe came in. Whereas Villa have players who can genuinely hurt you.
Yeah. Sorry, I just started laughing to myself because I'm a weirdo. I just remembered, I don't know why I did this, but I tweeted Aston stat out this morning, and for no reason other than he came into my head, and I don't know why. I just, I'm very sleep deprived at the moment. I've got no idea what my mentality was behind that. Yeah, didn't really, no one really got onto why I was doing that. No, I didn't really know it myself either, to be perfectly honest. Right, Sal, let's have a quick look at the other fixtures. Honestly, I genuinely just need a week to lie down and have some sleep.
Maybe in June.
Yeah,
maybe a week in Paris.
Maybe a week. Well, yeah, but it'd be in and out of Paris, unfortunately. I think we've all seen that film. Aston Villa Liverpool is the
no need for that.
8 o'clock on Tuesday, of course. Wednesday sees Leicester host Norwich. Couldn't care less. Watford Everton. What a titanic clash that's going to be. The Royal Blue Dog Carriers are going to be flying down to Vicarage Road for that one. Leeds United host Chelsea, 7:30 kickoff. I mean, we talked about this before, Dan. Leeds are down, aren't they? They are tantalisingly close to self-destructing here.
Yeah.
Chelsea are doing very similar themselves. Hopefully, and I know I said this last week with the Man City game or whatever, hopefully Leeds leg Chelsea everywhere. That's the best we can hope for, is Chelsea have to do a lot of running in that game. 1 day less prep ahead of the cup final. That's all I'm looking for from that one.
Yeah, well, I want to use the word historically, but it's not even that long ago. Under Bielsa, you'd imagine Chelsea would have to do a lot of work, wouldn't you? But the only thing, obviously, Leeds are fighting for their lives. I agree with you. I think they have self-destructed. If you watched that game yesterday, you'd certainly say so, because that was hitting self-destruct in the most monumental fashion. Not even so much in the way they played. Obviously, Meslier has a nightmare for the first goal, but the tackles they were putting in and the stuff they were up to was just chaos. So, yeah, I think we can hold out hope that they'll at least give them a contest. Yeah. Whether they give them a game is a different story, potentially. But, yeah, it'll be a match, I think. It'll be an interesting one.
The other two big games, just to skip ahead, first and foremost, Thursday is the North London derby, Tottenham against Arsenal, which looks like it could end up being not the ultimate decider, but Spurs need to win that if they want to stay in the conversation.
I'm live texting that one, and I can't wait, because I think it's going to be a cracking game.
That's one of those games where if we can get our business done on Tuesday, and this has no impact on Liverpool, this football match, but as a fan of football,
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, it'll be a really interesting watch.
I think it'll be brilliant, that.
Yeah. And then the one that we skipped over, which we'll skip back to, Wednesday, 8:15 kickoff, Wolves host Manchester City. Wolves are not going to beat Man City.
Connor Cody, he gave it the big fight on the weekend.
He did, and he's won it. And again, I love those little stories, And again, if another lad who, look, he's Wolves captain. He's Wolves is everything they're trying to achieve. Is Connor Cody's first and foremost. But he is a big Liverpool fan, Connor Cody, and he would love nothing more than to be there and be one of the guys who puts a dent in Man City. Hopefully, I mean, look, we left it late there. It takes a Divock late one to kind of grab something for us there. That hope again. I keep saying this. It's good. I can't help but see how it doesn't come down to the last game of the season between us and them. But
this is one of the games I pinned a little bit of hope on, even a few weeks ago, not just this week, because Wolves were playing better at the time, quite frankly, when I did. But then obviously you see the fight back on the weekend, you think, okay, there's still something going on there, because for a few weeks it felt like Bruno Lage had completely thrown the towel in on their season. But now you never know. And the other thing that was giving me hope was that Wolves were robbed at the Etihad. If you remember the dodgy handball, Gian Coutinho hit him essentially in the ribs. Yeah. And it was 0-0 at the time. City won 1-0. So, and they were fuming. I remember Ruben Neves coming out after the game on Instagram. This is weird memory for me. I don't know why. Coming out after the game and basically saying it was wrong. And so you maybe think there's a little bit of a vendetta there on their behalf. And they're the things we have to cling on to. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed. I'm very much at the stage now, and I've been like this for a while. But I went to my dad's yesterday for dinner, and we sat down and we watched the Newcastle game, and we had it paused while we were having dinner, and then we came back to it, and then City scored the first goal, and I went, right, I'm going to check the score because I'm not going to sit through watching something in the past where it's dead and buried already. And it was half time and it was 2-0. And we went, right, so we skipped forward. And then by the time the third goal, I'm getting off because you can't do that. And that's where we're at with this. Is City will probably do it. They will probably just win every game now because this is all their eggs are in this basket now. It's the Premier League or nothing for them.
And it's in their hands and they know their job. If they win every game, then
and it is a spectacular failure if they come home empty-handed from this season. Spectacular.
I love you building that up, by the way. That's great. That's great stuff.
That was brilliant.
That's superb.
It is a catastrophic failure at the highest level if Man City don't win the league this season.
And no one supports them anyway, so.
And nobody supports them, and everyone supports them. But we're doing this on the podcast, by the way. I want to have a big old chat about this because Pep Guardiola, I say, is just so wrong. He's so very wrong. If he thinks everyone supports Liverpool, he has not read the landscape of football in this country. But yeah, Wolves will do them. They will. They won't. Man City are going to absolutely blast them everywhere, and we're going to move on to the next game and the next game, and then it'll be the last game of the season, and magic will happen or it won't. Right, let us know in the comments what your 11's going to be. I want your score predictions in the comments, and I want the score predictions from you guys, Dan.
Yeah, difficult one this. Really tight game, but I just fancy us to nick it 2-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. A couple of late goals in the second half.
I like that. I like 2-0. Yeah, I think we could do with starting to think about the goal difference. So if we could actually not concede and score a couple of goals. I mean, look, this is a great opportunity for Liverpool to hit back. And I think what I want City, the only way you can really hurt City now, because Pep will just have them all gathered round, a little siege mentality, and they'll be going, right, we just got to win these next few games and we're done. If Liverpool could really psychologically do with battering Aston Villa, and I don't know, it's not as simple as that, and I don't think the game will be as simple as that, but I think we could all really do with a message, because if we just win, I don't know, I think it offers encouragement to them. I'd like a message to be sent that says, we really give a shit about this game, and that might come in the 11 that we started.
Or even like the first leg against Villarreal, where it was 2-0, but it was so dominant that everyone was talking about it. Like, it doesn't have to be a 4-5-0, but just such a dominant, easy control performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Because look, I think we said this, we're capable. We're still more than capable of winning a quadruple. People don't win the quadruple because it's impossible. Yeah. But we've come this close. It would be nice for Man City just to be going into there thinking, just to eat the goal difference up again. To be perfectly honest, we don't really want to get too lost on that. But if we can take a big bite out of that, you want them going into Wolves thinking, actually, we want to go and do the same. And if they go in that mentality, we want to go and run up a cricket score here. Hopefully that leaves the door open. There you go. There's a narrative for you. But no. Just to be clear on this, it's going to go down to a Phil Coutinho 94th minute winner, and the last game of the season is how we're going to win the title this year. So Wolves are not going to do the business, so don't get your hopes up too much. Right, loads more to come from us. The starting 11 prediction will be live late on Monday evening or early evening, late afternoon on the Redmen YouTube channel as well. Do check that out. Plenty more to come from us on Redmen Plus as well. If you want to join us for a watch along, Chris and I are back in the studio Tuesday night. So hope to see you over there for that, guys. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks to everyone who's joined us live here on YouTube and after the fact in podcast form. If you want more content, as I say, do head over to Redmen Plus, where you can get all of our bonus Redmen shows that we do in the studio in podcast form, in your ears, in your native podcasting app. Anyway, thank you so much. See you all soon. Up to that.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out that video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want even more Liverpool goodness in your lives, head on over to redmenplus.com now and sign up to Redmen Plus. We've got interviews, features, documentaries, as well as our vast array of weekly shows. So redmenplus.com, sign up to Redmen Plus now.